Hey there guys, how's it going? I've just got a quick update for you with some fun discoveries that I've made while working on the Yozora video. I was going over the Verum Rex trailer, and due to its frantic and fast-paced nature, I was trying to get my bearings by piecing together the real-world equivalents of the locations and buildings that are displayed in the trailer. If you aren't aware, many Japanese games have drawn inspiration from real-world locations in Tokyo, in much the same way that many games have taken inspiration from Times Square, for example. The secret ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 shows Sora waking up in a fictional version of the real-world Shibuya Scramble, a famous crosswalk in one of Tokyo's wards, in exactly the same way that Neku wakes up in a different, well, potentially different, fictional version of the real-world Shibuya Scramble in The World Ends With You. Yozora is watching over Riku from the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building, the inspiration for the Insomnia capital from Final Fantasy Versus 13, and I guess 15, located in the nearby ward of Shinjuku. I was able to place Yozora's real-world location in the Verum Rex trailer, and that got me thinking. In my initial video breaking down the secret ending, I had said that the Master of Masters was overlooking Sora in Shibuya, but in the most recent video about the Master, I had said that in the secret ending, the Master was standing on what could be the Square Enix building. I had based this off a Reddit post from only a couple of days after the secret ending came out, that postulated that, based on the view of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building in the background, which was a fine assumption, that, although now I know not to be correct, had wormed its way into my brain and sort of just stayed there ever since. But given I was already scouring Shibuya for the real-world equivalents of these locations, I thought I should either confirm or deny that fact about the Master as well. One thing I noted is just how accurately the district is recreated in both the Secret Ending 3D cinematics and the somewhat explorable version found in the Remind DLC. And when I positioned the Google Earth FreeCam behind the Square Enix building so that the Metropolitan building would be seen in the background, things just don't add up. There are far too many buildings between Square and the Metropolitan building, as well as the fact that there is no large skyscraper overlooking the building the Master is standing on what would be the Master's left. So I ruled that possibility out of my mind and took a look at the image again, and immediately a few noticeable things stood out that honestly many of you have already likely thought of yourself. And again, I'm pretty sure I said in my initial breakdown video. The unmistakable glow seen here is extremely similar to that warm orange glow of the Shibuya Scramble itself, seen whenever the camera is tracking Sora in the secret ending cutscene. A stark contrast to the blue hue that is shown whenever Riku is the camera's focus. If we position a Google Earth view of this building to try and match the angle seen in this shot, sure enough, we can see the Scramble and a taller building to what would be the Master's left. The Scramble is visible in the distance, and the uniquely shaped buildings practically seal the deal for me. Oh yeah, and if we zoom in, the 109 building is right there. Yeah, this is definitely the spot. But of course I thought, well, what if we take it one step further? If you take a current day look at these buildings from either Google Street View or one of the many walking tour videos easily available on YouTube, we can easily see what these buildings look like from the ground. And wouldn't you know it, we can see these same buildings faithfully recreated in the, again, somewhat playable but not really version of Shibuya found in the Remind DLC. The building the Master is standing on is unique in that multiple floors of the building are dedicated to this large, multi-story windowed surface, tinged with blue. We can see that this very closely mirrors its real-world counterpart. Now, only if there was some way to get more elevation and see the Scramble from the roof. Enter 13th Vessel. It turns out you can gain a lot more height while getting out of bounds. Some trial and error later, and I'm on my way. I grab a couple of shots of the Shibuya Scramble from above, trying to recreate the angle shown in the secret ending, and voila, we've made it. We are now hovering at the exact place that the Master of Masters stood in the secret ending. I can't help but notice that the building to the Master's left is a lot more present in this shot compared to the Remind version, but that's about the only thing that stops it from being a perfect match. This is the building that the Master of Masters stepped out on top of and put his hands out across Kingdom Hearts. Just why was this building chosen? Does the Master of Masters perhaps live here? But now for something super interesting. The secret ending actually wasn't the first time we saw this building in Kingdom Hearts 3. The opening shot of the Verum Rex trailer shows Yozora and his allies, likely called Meiji and Aegis, battling against robotic creatures as they fight their way to the rooftop of a building where an enormous pink laser seems to be ripping a hole into another dimension. And would you care to guess which building that laser is emanating off? It's not this one, no. But rather it is the one immediately next to it, the tall skyscraper to the Master's left. Now this trailer is insanely fast-paced and hard to follow geographically, but it seems that, at least at the start, Yozora and co are battling at a train station at the base of the building with a laser shooting out of it. As this trailer plays out, we see that the pink laser is emanating out of a woman with a star necklace, whose name may well be Stella, and who may well be the unnamed star, but we'll get to that in another video. As Gigas mechs surround her, she seems to be at the center of this pink beam, keeping it open and drawing all matter in the surrounding area into some sort of dimensional rift. Whether the Gigas are forcing her to keep it open, or she is doing so willingly, who knows. We see that Yozora has retreated back some distance away from the laser building, and from this vantage point, his party observe the laser building itself falling through the dimension as a giant maelstrom swallows everything in the surrounding area. There are also what look like other buildings strangely overlapping and warping, surrounding the portal, and the laser itself actually disappears as Yozora dives into the portal after Stella. We then see his allies clearing a path for him as he dives deeper down, desperately reaching out to grasp her hand. As he is about to reach her, reality shatters behind the pair. Literally, we can see in the background that the entire dimensional portal seems to have fragmented into tiny pieces as the Gigas robot bursts its hand through and grabs Stella. Yozora, Aegis, and Magia size up against another enormous bot as the trailer ends. But the point of all this is that behind the enormous Gigas is once again the two buildings. So, does this mean that Yozora, Magia, Aegis, and Stella have slipped into an alternate dimension? Have they gone back in time a few moments to before the portal was opened? At this stage, we just don't know. But one last question for Google Maps then. What are the real-world names of these two seemingly important buildings? Well, the taller is known as the Shibuya Scramble Square. And, since its opening in November of 2019, it has officially become the tallest building in Shibuya. Yes, that's right. Despite the fact that the building was only completed in October of 2019, it was depicted in a very accurate state in the base game of Kingdom Hearts 3, which itself was released in January of 2019. But, assuming that the aesthetic designs of the building were public knowledge, one other interesting thing to note about the Shibuya Scramble Square is the observation deck, the place that Stella was depicted as launching her beam from, offering amazing views of the ward, and fittingly named, the Shibuya Sky. Huh. Well, sky of course translates to Sora in Japanese, so it's almost like Yozora was indirectly saving Sora by saving Stella. The deck was literally destroyed and then appears fine again moments later. I'm sure that's just a coincidence though. It's a sky deck named after the sky. That's a pretty sensible name. What about the other building then? The one the master was observing Shibuya from? It turns out this is a very stylish and trendy retail complex, featuring themed floors rather than conventional different shopping divisions. It's even the headquarters of Tokyo Fashion Week. And given just how much importance fashion has in some of Tetsuya Nomura's games, I imagine this building holds some significance to him. And its name is the Shibuya Hikarie, effectively giving a playful French twist synonymous with women's fashion in Japan to the Japanese word hikari, meaning light, giving the building the meaning towards the light. And let me tell you, as a guy who just put out a theory that the Master of Masters is a being of light, I was pretty excited by this discovery. Is it possible that in this fictional reality, the Hikarie building is where the Master of Masters calls home? In real life, these 5 floors here are a theatre, so perhaps this is where the Master of Masters is able to keep track of the various world lines and realities that he may be involved in. Either way, I thought I'd share this little discovery with you. It certainly blew my mind, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the matter as well. Am I reading too much into nothing here? Is the simple answer that they just chose to set some events near 2 recognizable buildings in Shibuya, and I really am just freaking out over nothing like they're all connected? And of course, I do recognize that I am pretty much 2 years late to this party for anyone that immediately recognized the cityscape. To those people, I do apologize for making a big deal out of this now. Anyway guys, the Yozora video with all of these theories combined in it is on its way. I just thought I'd give you something to chew on while you waited. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you real soon. Bye bye.